Yeah, guys, we're going to be mixing the ICT and FX Gold trends in trend strategies. So this strategy is basically a hybrid of two because it is a mixture of a few smart money concepts and a few concepts from FX Gold trends in trend strategy. So how does this strategy work? Yeah, you're gonna wait for a high to form, then price will go down, then price will go up, forming a higher high. Like this high, yeah, this swing high is higher than this high. Then when this happens, you're gonna take out your trend line like this, then highlight it like this, like draw your trend line. Then you're gonna wait for a third touch, like price needs to touch the trend line for the third time. Let me show you what I mean. Okay guys, so like when price returns to the trend line and come to touch it for the third time, you don't just sell. No, like if you just sell blindly, price is gonna go your opposite way. So what do you need to use as a confirmation in order for you to confirm your entry? You need to make sure that this area is also the same area as a support or resistance. You can see like this trend line here, price is inside of a resistance area and is also on a diagonal resistance, which is a trend line. So this is two confirmations for you to place a sell. Now let me show you an example. Okay, yeah guys, you can see that price formed a high, one back down, formed a lower high, one back down, then you draw your trend line. After drawing your trend line, when price comes back, you don't just sell, you wait for a confirmation. And what is a confirmation? So in this case, you are gonna use your supply zone as a confirmation. You can see price touched a supply, also touched a resistance trend line. These were two confirmation for you to sell. You are gonna sell, and look how many pips you could have got. So okay guys, so here is a next example. You can see price formed a low, one back up, formed a higher low, one back up. One price returned for the third time on the trend line, you just don't buy, you wait for a confirmation. And what is your confirmation? Your confirmation will be, it's either your support and resistance or your supply and demand from ICT concepts. So you can see here price came, touched the trend line for the, let's see, 1 2 3 4, it came for the first time to touch. Here you're gonna buy. And now what was the risk for entry? That's right, there's a demand area here. This country here, it's a demand, and there's also a trend line. So yeah, it was a confirmation to buy. Let's look at another example. You can see here we have a high, then we have a lower high, then for the third time when price comes back to the trend line, what do? You sell. Now why did you sell here? What was the confirmation? That's right, you can see. Okay, now I've switched to my line chart. When I look at this area, I see that price established multiple support and resistance on this area. As you can see, we have many touches here. It is a valid resistance because look at how many touches we have. 1 2, price came, went up, came again to the same area, went up, price came, went up. You see price broke, came back up again, retested on this area. Like price was just playing on this area. This area has multiple touches, so it is a valid resistance. So what happened is that price came back to this trend line. At the same time, it also came back to this strong resistance here, which was a valid entry for sell. Okay guys, now I hope you understand how this strategy works. You just need to find a trend line which is also on the same level as a supply or a demand, or you can either use support and resistance. Either way it works, it's a confirmation. Now let's look at this example. You can see price formed a high, then went back up, for the second time formed a lower high. Then this is what you are going to draw your trend line like this, from this area to this area. Then when price came for the third time here, what do? Price established a supply zone, which is this candle. You mark it from the highest wick to the lowest wick. Okay, now yeah, you're gonna sell. Look how many pips we've caught if you sold on this area. Just look at this. Okay, now let's look at another example. Okay guys, so you can see a price formed a high, one back down, formed a lower high, one back down, came back for the third time. Price came back for the third time to touch the trend line. You don't just sell yet, you wait for a confirmation. And what is a confirmation? That's right, it's either support or resistance, or your supply or demand. As you can see here, price touched the upper trend line. At the same time, there was a supply area. This green candle here, it is a supply because it is the last bullish candle before the down move. So I mark it. I mark my supply, then price comes back in my supply and also my trend line. I sell. Look, price just goes down. Guys, this is so simple. Even a baby can do it. You can see here price formed a low, one back up, formed a higher low, one back up, came back for the third time. You don't just buy, you wait for a confirmation. And what is a confirmation? It is your demand. At this case, confirmation was demand. As you can see, this red candle here, it is the last down candle before the big up move. So basically it is a demand, and at the same time it is the third touch of the trend line. So yeah, you're gonna buy and you could have caught all of these moves. Oh, and by the way, I forgot to mention, your stop loss will be just partially, like barely above this demand area. Okay, now let's look at another example. Here where the channel, you can see what a high, price went back down, formed a lower high, one back down, came back for the third time. You wait for a confirmation. What is a confirmation? Yeah, you have a significant support and resistance here. Like price can touch these multiple areas, 1, 2, 3. On the third touch you sell. It is a resistance, but at the same time it is also a sloping resistance or a trend line. Yeah, you are gonna sell. Oh, and I forgot to mention, there was also a supply here. So yeah, you had 3 confirmations because there was a supply, a trend line and a resistance. It was a triple confirmation for you to sell. Okay guys, here is another example. You can see price formed a low, one back up, formed a higher low, one back up, came back for the third time. What do? You don't just buy, you wait for a confirmation. And as I have been repeating again and over again, now I'm sure you are getting it. Your confirmation, it's either your demand or supply or support and resistance. Price came, it bought. Now this is the best way to use trend lines. In my opinion, I think it's the number 1 way. But yeah, let me know in the comments what you think about it. Okay guys, now this is the last example that I'll be showing you. You can see that price formed a low, one back up, formed a higher low, one back up, came back to touch the trend line for the third time. What do you do when price touches the trend line for the third time? You look for your support or resistance or your supply and demand. In this case, it was a demand, so you buy. Look at these pips. It's a real account guys, as you can see. So the broker that I'll be using is Exynos.